If you're running a business and hiring someone, I know without a doubt, one thing is for certain, and that is that over the course of having that business, you will make a bad hire, or someone you thought was a great hire won't work out. So what do you do when you're in that situation?
You've got to build your business around your life and not your life around your business.
Business ads are going to sell you a fake lifestyle of supercars and fancy mansions.
You can get a business up and running really quickly. Okay, so you find yourself in this position where you've got someone that you feel like isn't working out. And there's really two reasons that they could not be working out. Maybe they're the wrong person, like they're just not fitting in with your culture, or you don't get along with them, or you just don't like being around them. Or you've got a performance issue. So it's the person or it's the performance. That's typically been my experience. Now, Peter Diamandis, who I follow almost everything this guy does, the X Prize, the Abundance 360, his all the cool companies he has, his podcast, he's said that he knows it's time to let someone go when they're going around at a meeting and he's sitting in the room and you get to that person and he just doesn't care what they have to say. Like if that's how you feel, where you don't want to engage with someone, you don't want to collaborate with them because you just want to move on past them, then if you've thought about firing this person, you probably should have fired them already. That's the reality. And I've been there in the past. We've had people that just didn't work out because either they oversold their abilities, or they felt weird when they got into the culture, or they just had a personal conflict with you. And if you can't get along with someone, then that's a really hard, burden to get past. So if it's a person issue, you've got to make a hard decision. You've got to have a heart-to-heart with the person and probably just tell them that they're not the right fit for your culture. Maybe they're not a values fit. Maybe they just, they'd be happier somewhere else. And if you think that they've got the performance side, but they're just not a fit for your culture, help them get somewhere else. Say they'd be great somewhere else, because the reality is most people are probably A players somewhere. So that's what to do if it's a personal issue. You just got to do it quick. We've had people start that 3 days later, honestly, we kind of all knew it was not a good fit. And we just rip the Band-Aid, have that tough conversation, and everyone's better for it. Now, on the other side, if you've got somebody that's amazing, somebody that fits your core values, they fit the culture, they're bringing a lot in terms of their personality to the business, they treat your customers right, that sort of thing, but they've got a skills gap. Like they're not performing at the level that they need to be. That's where you've got to really coach those people. You've got to help them. You've got to mentor them. You've got to set one-on-ones. But first, if you're recognizing there's a performance issue, you've got to document the performance issues. So a mistake I've made in the past is when you talk to somebody and you give that feedback, that coaching, that mentoring, if you don't follow up, add some notes to your file, send them an email, say here's what we agreed you need to work on, then you don't really have a good paper trail of that feedback. Maybe they didn't hear the feedback that you were giving them while you were in the meeting. And so best practice I've found is to write that stuff down, send that follow-up email, make sure you've got a clear plan in place. And then meet again, whether it's the next week, the next 30 days, you want to have some accountability so that they see, here's what I need to do. Here's the feedback. Yes, I've received it. Let's close that feedback loop. And then let's reevaluate performance and see if we're getting an improvement. And over time, you're going to go one of two directions. Either they improve and they stick around and become an all-star, or they end up being not a good fit. And usually if someone can't meet the performance that you're expecting of them, they'll start to disengage. And if you sense that, then it starts to drift over from being a performance issue to also being a person issue. So that brings us to the last thing. If you've got someone that is a person issue and a performance issue, that's an easy no-brainer decision. Like that person just is causing problems in the organization probably. They could be rubbing off on others, but the worst problem with not making a decision about this is that all the other people that work for you are seeing this person isn't carrying their weight, or this person isn't a good culture fit, and the company's not doing anything about it. The worst thing that can happen is if that problem starts to spread and it starts to become a problem for other people where they're losing motivation or they're getting disengaged. So that's why you need to make a decision. You need to do it fast. So hopefully for all of you, you don't find yourself in this position very frequently. Hopefully you go through intense screening, you run people through test projects before they start with you, you make sure that they're a values fit. But if you end up with someone that feels like they're just not pulling their weight, and you start to think about, should I let this person go? Think about which bucket they fall into. Is it a person issue? Is it a performance issue? Or is it a person and a performance issue? And hopefully, if you evaluate where they fall, you know whether to coach that person to a position, coach them out, or just help them find their next opportunity.